But where else have you gotten around with live music?
Mainly just Texas has been the other one for me when I toured with Bone Thugs and Harmony and DMX, like when I was 19 and 20.
The fuck?
That was my freshman and sophomore year. Yeah, I had a video go viral my freshman year, the Wendy's drive-through rap.
Right, I've seen this.
And my roommate at the time, his dad was the tour promoter, a big-time tour promoter in Texas, and he had Bone Thugs coming through in a month. Needed an opening act at the time, God's timing. And my roommate sent it to his dad. Hey, check out this video that my roommate made. He just went viral. It was on the Today Show. My video went on the Today Show.
Wow.
And he's like, oh, you didn't tell me your roommate rapped. I need a rapper like for Bone Thugs in a month. Ask him if he'd want to be the opening act. And me and my roommate didn't even have much of a relationship. So when he asked me if I wanted to open for Bone Thugs, I didn't believe him. I was like, what are you talking about?
Like, are you fucking with me right now?
Yeah, I thought he was fucking with me but no, it just so happened to be on the spring break of Belmont. So even the timing was like,
wow.
Okay, it was spring break. And then the shows went great. God, I had some awesome stories. That was my first live performance ever. Was on tour with Bone Thugs and Harmony in San Antonio, Texas, with about 700-800 people.
Holy
Less
shit.
than 5 white people there the whole night.
Right on.
But nonetheless, an epic performance that really solidified me to know that I can do this. I haven't performed for crowds as rough since, as rough as then a year later DMX, because this was before Tribal Hoos. So even then, Tribal Hoos kind of came around as an outburst. I had these popping things. I had the Wendy's rap. I had the Bone Thugs. I had the DMX. It's like, yo, let's get this guy a band. Let's get this guy a band.
Yeah.
And it grew into, I did become a band. It was like a solo artist that grew into a band. And then eventually, like I said, our first 5 shows were under the name Mr. B, but it was like, there's 6 of us on stage, let's morph. So one thing, it just kept growing like a flower pot, outgrowing its pot into the next one.
To speak on those first 5 shows, do you remember those first 5 shows very well?
Absolutely. A lot of the other shows since kind of like morphed together, but those ones are very clear. Like I said, it was my first few times ever, so those are naturally more impressionable. And then just because of the level of them, it wasn't like I was with my boys when I'm with the Tribal Hoos. I was just by myself. And DMX is a very intense guy. Bone Thugs, they're pretty chill. They can be intense, but they're pretty chill. Like, they're pretty cool guys.
Right on.
Yeah.
I guess I should have been more specific. When you got to Nashville, do you remember did you call him Mr. B when you were first playing in Nashville under that name?
Yeah, I've been performing under that name since I was like 16, since my sophomore year of high school.
Right on.
When I discovered in an English class that my initials backwards are Mr. B, MRB.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, my initials are BRM, Blake Robert Mankin. Backwards is Mr. B, MRB, Mr. B. So once I discovered that, I was like, perfect, that's my stage name. Because I'd been looking for a stage name. I'd been looking for a stage name at the time, and I didn't want to create some name that had nothing to do with my real name, but I didn't want to perform under Blake Mankin like that. I was like, nah. So Mr. B came, and it stuck. And speaking of, I remember the first night in San Antonio, back to that first show, I told the guy my name. He's like, no, that's a whack name. Nah, Mr. B, what the fuck? And I tell him, that's my initials backwards. And I explain what I just told you. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, all right, that's kind of hard. That works for you. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But that night, man, that was an epic show. Let me just tell a few things about that performance. Yeah. They wouldn't let me into the venue because they didn't think I was actually performing. So I had I'm like outside the venue. There's a long line. I can't even get in. Not like it was a big deal, but like I'm on the phone call with the promoter. He's not even there. So, long story short, I finally was able to get in. And then, God, it was just an epic performance. I remember the bouncers afterwards told me that they were betting on me how quickly I'd get booed off stage.
Holy shit.
And I didn't, as I walked on stage, probably had 100 people booing me before I had a microphone in my hand. Right as I'm walking on stage,
damn,
grip of the crowd starts just booing because the artist before me was a local artist who got booed off stage. He was whack, terrible. And he was from San Antonio. It was at Backstage Live. So he was a local artest, got booed off stage. He was trash.
And there's 100 people in the crowd?
No, there's about 700 people in the crowd.
Holy shit. What kind of event is this?
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
He was opening.
So Bone, by the time Bone played, there's probably 1,100 people. By the time, Bone was in about maybe 1,200 people by the time it's in full force or whatever. But when the opening acts, couple, 500, 600, 700 people. But instantly, like I said, about 100 to 200 started booing me right as I walk on stage because I look at the crowd and I just smile because I just naturally smile a lot. Like just when I make eye contact, they're instantly like, get this fucking man off stage. Boo. I had a set list of like 20 minutes worth of shit, and I'm like, I'm scrapping that real quick and only doing my hard raps. Like I'm not doing none of my like maybe not hard raps or some shit. And I remember this crackhead engineer gives me the microphone. He's one of the only other white dudes in there missing his 4 teeth. He's like, good luck. And he gives me the microphone. Once he said that, instantly something clicked in me, because I just felt like it was such disrespect that they didn't even hear me out and were already booing. And just like, I really do this, like I'm not a wannabe at this shit. I really do rap. I'm not someone who just wishes he could rap. And just the inner MC in me just clicked on, like, I'm about to fucking win this. I'm about to do this shit. Like, I'm a performer, at heart. So once I got the mic, then finally it was like the sword was in my hand, Walked on stage, press play. I didn't even have a DJ. It was me and a laptop computer playing on my iTunes instrumentals, like through the speakers. Played it, and instantly once I started rapping, the crowd stopped booing. But it was pretty loud, the boos, before I started. Once I started, it went neutral, and they started hearing me out. They're actually listening. Then I was like, okay, like small vibes. Once I freestyled, I had a freestyle / half written song that referenced the city I was in and like the area code and like Bone Thugs. I like rapped about Bone, and people instantly dug that once they could tell that it was like customized to the night where I was rapping about the venue.